Well, good morning, church. Hope you guys are having a great morning so far. Today is going to be a really, really fun morning here at Icon. Before we jump in anything, if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, my name is Benji. I'm part of the teaching team here at Icon and have been with Icon for really since the inception of the church. But I'm going to have the chance and the opportunity to bring Dan and Kelly up here, and we're going to interview them for the next few minutes because we're doing a special kind of one-off Sunday called State of the Church. And what we want to do is we want to just take some time, because here's what can happen often in church world, is we can go from event to event, from Sunday to Sunday, from thing to thing, and it can just be super easy to kind of do something and then move past it and not celebrate what God's been doing in the journey of this church and in this community. And so today in State of the Church, what we want to do is we want to look at all that God did in 2018 and celebrate that together. And then what we want to do is we want to look forward to this next year, and we want to say, man, what is God doing here in our community, and how can we be a part of it? And so I'm really excited for that. Now, we're about to bring Dan and Kelly on stage, but I want to say one thing, is that over the last 9 years, as I've followed their leadership, I have personally grown so much, and it has been so helpful for me in my leadership and in my life to get to serve alongside them and with them. And I know that there are so many stories of people in this service today where your life is forever changed because of Icon Church. And this church would not exist if Dan and Kelly didn't choose to move their family halfway across the country from Illinois down to San Marcos to Kyle, and to really choose to say, God, we're going to be obedient. And so what I want you to do is, if this church has impacted you in any way, I want you to just go crazy when I invite Dan and Kelly to the stage, because they deserve it. All right? Let's invite Dan and Kelly Matlock, our fearless pastors, to the stage.
I was like coming up here picturing like crickets, you know, he's like, this meant anything to you? I was like, nah, no, I'm good.
Well, we're excited to take just the next few minutes and ask some questions of our pastors and just kind of get a little behind the scenes look. So what I want to do is, here's where I want to start, is I want to just ask you guys, for the last 12 months, really, we're looking back at 2018, essentially, and we're saying, what are some key moments, some things that really stick out to the both of you that you would say, man, I really loved this, and I really love that this is like the heartbeat of our church, or this is something that we're putting resource behind. What are some things that come to mind?
Yeah. What do you think?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay.
You go first.
I was trying to spin my chair, and I was like, I can't reach the ground. So I'm like, I think for me, one of my favorite moments of this past year was on Pastor Appreciation Sunday. There were many of you that wrote really kind, sweet letters to Dan and I, and in those letters, they were full of so many stories of people, of things that had happened in their life and life change, and there was one in particular that I will never forget, and it was written by someone who they had struggled to find belonging and acceptance in the church for a long time, and they said ever since starting to come to Icon, and they've been coming for like a couple of years, they said this is the first time that they've ever felt safe in a church and that they belong. And that, I mean, I was sobbing because it's like, that's what it's all about. You know, that's how church is supposed to be that way across the board. So that for me, that was one of the greatest moments for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and it's funny, before service, we were talking about kind of our answers to these questions, and that was exactly one of the highlights for me of 2018 was that same thing. But another aspect of that, one of my favorite things here at Icon is after service, kind of between the services, many of you will kind of catch me between services. In fact, after first service, I got to hear a story of someone who's found Icon, who's found the church, and what that church has meant to them. And sometimes after specific messages, people will come up to me and talk about the impact that what I talked about had on them. And that's one of my favorite moments. That's why we love to do this. And specifically, there was a message on Mother's Day last year called Wonder Women. And I spent the whole service talking about just different women in the Bible, these heroes, these awesome, strong leaders in the church throughout church history. And it's amazing. We never really talk about it in church very often, but the Bible is full of like these bad awesome, these amazing ladies,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
You know? And like, we don't talk about it enough. And I talked about that, and afterwards, woman after woman after woman came up and said, thank you so much for making me feel like I have a voice, for telling me that my leadership matters, that I have a place in this church. And that Sunday, that moment, talking to so many of you afterwards, that's something that really stands out as a highlight for me.
Yeah, I love as a part of Icon just getting to see and hear stories of life change where it's our mission is to help people become more like Jesus, right? And so it's in both of these stories where we're looking back at the last year, we're saying we're accomplishing the mission that we set out to do, which is to help people become more like Jesus, let people know they can be included in this mission. And so I love that. And you were mentioning a specific message, so I actually want to make that my second kind of follow-up question. When you look back at 2018, Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, we're doing these different series, and obviously we like all of our content, but some messages as communicators, right, they stick out to us a little bit more. So was there something that really sticks out to the both of you, maybe a message you got to preach or a series we did? What comes to mind?
Yeah. I think for me, a series we did early in 2018, there was one called Through the Fire, where we talked about moments in life where you kind of feel like you're walking through the fire, where you're going through difficult times. And I think for me, having grown up in church, and what I would hear during those times, if you go through difficult times, is like these Christian platitudes that never help. You know, it's like, oh, God has a purpose, and, you know, it's, you know, just keep going. God has a plan. This, you know, God did this for a reason. And sometimes when you're going through really tragic moments, it doesn't feel like that. Right. And oftentimes that's not real helpful. So I had a message called When God is Wrong, because there's been points in my life where I felt like, God, you're just wrong on this. And what do you do when you've prayed for healing or you prayed for this thing to happen and it doesn't? Yeah. And I think because also that message has shown up several times. In fact, just a week ago, I had a couple of friends of mine call me, and she was pregnant for the first time, and she was so excited, her and her husband, and they were thrilled. And she had a miscarriage, and she was just devastated. And she was asking these questions. She was relatively new to faith, and she was saying, why would God allow this to happen? Like, why would this happen? And it reminded me, it's one of those, like, it feels like God was wrong in that moment. And I was able to kind of refer them back to that message and offer things that I hope was helpful. And that, to me, is one of those messages that kind of comes back to my mind.
That's awesome. Kelly, for you?
I think for me, one of my favorite series this year was when we did Confessions of a Pastor. It was hard for those of us that were on the stage communicating. But what I loved about it so much was what happened after. I feel like it was really a turning point, even for myself, like as a leader and as a communicator. I think to go, man, I'm just tired of playing the game, and I'm tired of pretending like I have it together, and I just want to be who I am. And if people aren't okay with that, then that's okay. And I think it gave a lot of people, like Dan talked about his struggle with doubt and really wrestling with God. Are you even real? And I think, I feel like it started a lot of conversations and helped people feel like they had permission to doubt and had permission to not be okay and had permission to admit the mess and the pain. And it just sparked a lot of conversations and a lot of things, I think, for us to move forward to go, hey, we do not have it all together. Not one single person, in this room has it all together, and that's totally fine. And that's actually where we're most beautiful, is when we can be honest about who we are. So
I love that. And if you're newer to the church, or if you hear them talking about these messages and you're like, I'd be interested to go back. Maybe you're going through a season now where it's like what Dan's talking about or what Kelly's talking about. And you're like, I need to go re-listen. You can do that. iconchurch.com/messages. And also on iTunes, you just look up the Icon Church podcast. It's a really good way to just stay connected and to be able to go back. Sometimes we hear a message or we take notes, and then we need to refer back to something in a different season when life's just throwing different stuff at us. So here's what I want to do in our last 2 minutes is I just want you guys to look forward to this next year. And Dan's going to take the rest of our time together and really highlight some things to us, so not too much detail, but look forward to 2019. Tell us something that you're excited about, something you're hoping for, and then we'll kind of close it.
Yeah. I think for me, 2019, I'll talk more about this. I don't want to steal my own thunder. So in the rest of the message, I'll talk about some things we're going to be doing in 2019, but I feel like 2019 is a year for things to happen that we've like talked about for years. You know, it's the culmination of so many things. There's been so many times that we've sat down as a team and said, man, I can't wait until we do that. I can't wait until that happens. And it's almost like when you plan this vacation, like in 5 years, we're going to go to wherever. And then that year comes where the trip happens and it's kind of surreal. And you find yourself thinking, wait, that's like now, like that's this year. And that's how 2019 feels for me. So I'll get some of the specifics later on, but that's kind of how I feel as I think about 2019.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that I'm excited about, I can't say because he's about to say it in a minute. So, but honestly, as simple as this sounds, I just want to keep creating a place, a safe place where people can come in and belong and find love and find God and find community. And I'm looking forward to doing even more for our community, for Hays County this next year. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to just to do whatever we can to be a blessing and a benefit and just to love people well.
That's great. Well, we've seen growth over this last year, and we've seen God do amazing things, and we're looking forward to and excited for what 2019 has in store. Take the next couple minutes and hear some stories from people in this community here at Icon and the way that Icon has changed their life. Watch this.
So when I came to Icon, I had been following Jesus for only a year, and I was also only 17, so I didn't really know what that looked like. So Icon was my first church home at Texas State, and now I've gotten baptized at Icon. I've gotten my family to start coming to church through Icon when they're in town. My boyfriend and I met and got baptized together here, and now I'm graduating. I just love Icon. That's it. I just love it.
There's so much I love about being part of the Icon Church family. I love the people so much. They're all so incredibly welcoming and friendly, and I just feel like we're all family. I love doing coffee every week because I get to talk with everybody and chat and meet new people, and I love being able to interact with everybody. I feel like I have a family.
I love the kids. The kids are super fun and the worship is really great. I think with all their kindness and everything, I think people just feel at home here, and so they'll love it here.
Last week I came for the first time. Searching new churches out. There's just a great vibe here, great feel. It's just all about God, and that's what I'm looking for.
I feel like Icon has really helped our family come to know Jesus even further, because there are various different things that are presented on Sundays, and it really makes us really investigate and get into our Bible and read and learn and really reach out to God and get those answers. And I really feel like it has made our family closer to God.
One of my friends talked to me about coming to youth. I started going more and more, and it drastically changed my life. It's made such a big impact on me, and they've led me to God, and I now go to church every Sunday, and it's a gigantic part of my life. So I guess just thank you for everyone who makes church possible and for all the youth.
The thing I look forward most on Sundays coming to church is just like an extension of our family. It's a mini family reunion every week, and the coffee and donuts doesn't hurt either.
I love serving on Sunday mornings. I do it mostly every Sunday, and just even though I'm just stagehands and putting that TV on stage, I love getting to be behind the scenes and putting on an experience for people that could maybe change their life, and so they can engage with Jesus, and it's really awesome. Icon rocks. That's it.
That's awesome. Well, hey, I'm glad to be with you here today for our annual State of the Church Sunday. Really excited about this, but before I jump into all of this, I want to real quickly just kind of address the elephant in the room. I'm not sure if you noticed, but when you walked in, you may have smelled something. If you didn't, you need to call your doctor because you can't smell. So what that is, just to kind of update all of you, is this morning I came in and I found Steve in the back huffing paint. So he was doing whippets and huffing paint in the back. So I've talked to Steve about that. We've addressed that. So just so you know, everything's okay. No, in all seriousness, in our future eKids area, one of the things we need to do is stain the concrete and then seal it. So our contractors called me and they're like, hey, we just sealed the floor. Looks great. One downside is it smells really bad. And by the way, they did this on Friday. So he's like, I hope it's not too bad on Sunday. So we've been doing our best to air it out. this morning we were trying to decide, is it better to freeze everyone out and have all the doors open, or, get stoned? So we went with get cold, so we had the doors open as best we can. It's a little bit more pungent in this room, so man, at the end of service, worship's gonna be really good, right? We're gonna be like all in the spirit and everything. So you're welcome, every single one of you. Yes, we're gonna have a real good time at church today. Man, I'm so excited for today. I'm really thrilled. This is one of my favorite Sundays of the year to kind of look at what God has done in 2018 and look ahead to the next year. And I want to highlight just a few things that happened in 2018 in case you weren't aware of this. But one amazing thing is we watched God do a lot of things in 2018. One of the things he did is really grew this church. A lot of people started showing up here every single week. In fact, last year in 2018 alone, we averaged 490 people every single week. Now, this is amazing. And what's even more amazing than just that is the fact that year over year, from 2017 to 2018, we saw 14% growth year over year. And it really is staggering when you think in 2013 when we launched, we had 125 people. And now, last year, we averaged 490. To put that into perspective, last Sunday, this growth is continuing to happen. Last January, we averaged 515 people. It really is amazing. And you might be sitting there right now and thinking like, man, it just sounds like a bunch of numbers, Dan. I mean, is that what this church is about, just about numbers? And to answer you to a degree, yes. Because here's the thing. Every single one of these numbers, every single one of these people that show up, they matter, right? Their story matters. Right? And we heard some of those stories. We just heard a snippet. And if people matter to God, these people must matter to us. So you know what? We will talk about numbers because numbers matter to God, because every single one of those numbers represents a person. And every single person matters to us here at Icon. Amen? Amen. This stuff matters. But it's not just about getting people in this room, right? Like, it's not the biggest deal about church doesn't happen on Sunday. For me, it happens on Monday, and on Tuesday, and Wednesday. It happens when all of you leave this room and we go into our community. And we had a huge impact on our community as well last year. We do a few different events throughout the year. One of the events we do, our biggest event, is our annual egg drop. And last year, in 2018, we had over 9,000 people show up for our annual egg drop. And let me tell you, that's a lot of people, right? Like, it was a little sketchy. If you were there was like thousands and thousands of people. And I'm excited that our partnership with the city is going to continue to grow and to build as we partnered with the city of Kyle last year with this event. I'm thrilled about this egg drop coming up for next year. But that was just one of our events. Another event that we do every year, probably my favorite event we do every year, is called Night to Shine. And last year in 2018, we served 86 individuals through Night to Shine. This is a prom night for those with special needs in our community. It's so cool to talk to the parents while their children, grandkids, nieces, and nephews are down here, and to talk to them and say, they never get a day that's all about them. And this day, it's all about them. And to watch them, watch their children, watch their loved ones down here dancing and having a blast and singing karaoke. And this year we had alpacas. I don't want to be bigoted there. We had alpacas, and it was awesome. And it's one of my favorite events we do all year. Another thing we did last fall in 2018 is we brought in a major missions organization to partner with for the first time as Icon partners with a major global initiative, and that's Compassion International. And last fall, Icon sponsored 162 kids living in developing areas. Because of you, there's 162 children that are getting fed every single day, that are getting medical care on a regular basis. They're being educated, that are being taught about Jesus, that are given an opportunity to make something out of their lives because of every single one of you. It was this awesome Sunday where we had pictures of kids all around this room and pictures of kids out there, and we had an opportunity to sponsor those children. And as a church, we focused on the community of Santa Elena, Ecuador, and it was this awesome opportunity. And what I love about Icon is there's so many things that happen behind the scenes that you're probably not even aware of. Like, you may not know this, but a part of all the proceeds, a part of all the money that comes in when you give in the offering, when you give to special events, a portion of that Actually, of our budget, about 13% of everything that comes in goes right back out into our community. And last year alone, we gave over $53,000 to global and to local initiatives in our community, to things happening on the Texas State campus, to things happening right here in our community. And this is just a way that we can live out our values. You see, one of our values as a church is we want to lead the way in generosity. And as a church, we have the opportunity to do that through things like our outreach giving. There's so many different things that if I could go through and highlight all these different things that have happened through 2018, man, we could take tons of time just talking about that. But I want to spend a good portion of today talking about the future, talking about 2019 and where we're going as a church. So to kind of be respectful of all of our times, we've put together an annual report that we'd like to send out to every single one of you. So today at 1 o'clock, we're going to email out an annual report, including many of the highlights we just hit, plus many more, that will be emailed out to all of you on our database. Now, if you get a regular email from us highlighting different events that are happening, different ways you can sign up for things here at the church, you'll get this email. But if you don't get those regular emails, you need to make sure to sign up so that you get this annual report. And how you can do that, if you just go to iconchurch.com and scroll to the bottom, there'll be a place where you can put in your email address and then you could submit that. So if you want this annual report, go ahead before 1 o'clock and add your email address to the database, and we'll go ahead and email out this annual report. It'll be a cool thing to take a look at to see what your church has done in 2018. But what I want to do for the rest of this time is I want to talk about 2019. I want to talk about things that, like I referenced before, that we've been praying about, things that we've been talking about for months, in some cases even years. And 2019 is the year that we're going to accomplish many of these things. The first thing I want to talk about is something that have talked about, again, for years, since the inception of this church. And in June of 2019, Icon Church is going to be taking its very first missions trip to Monclova, Mexico. And this is going to be cooler than you think, right? Like you might think like, oh, I've been to Mexico, it's just Mexico. Here's what's so amazing about this trip. Watching God kind of align all of these pieces, Kelly and I and Steve and different people have had opportunities to kind of go and scout this out, to go down to Monclova and see things there. But what's so cool about this trip is years ago, the city of San Marcos and the city of Monclova, Mexico became legitimate sister cities. And what that means is the mayors started interacting and working together from a city government standpoint. The police department started working together, the fire department, EMS. There were ambulances that were sent from San Marcos, fire equipment sent from San Marcos to Monclova. And through all those years and all the things that have happened as being sister cities, never has there been able to be an opportunity to connect the local church here in Hays County and the church in Monclova, Mexico. And this has been a prayer of many people for a very long time. And finally, this prayer is going to happen. Where the church here in Hays County, Icon Church, we're going to have the opportunity to connect with the church in Monclova, Mexico, and partner together to see what God may do. And we want this to be a long-term thing where we take multiple trips through the years, where there's youth trips and there's adult trips, and there's opportunities for them to come to Icon. How cool would it be for different people from that church to come and to teach us? For us to get to worship together, and that's what's going to be built through our trips to Monclova, Mexico. So I'm so excited about that. To hear more about this, I want you to come back next Sunday. Because actually what we're going to do next Sunday is we're going to be taking our very first Mission Sunday. And we're going to talk about the different global and local initiatives that we have here as a church. You'll start seeing in 2019 missions becoming more of a highlight of what we're doing in our community here locally and also globally. So come back next week and you'll find out more about Monclova. But then that kind of brings me to the second thing of 2019, and this I'm so thrilled about. But this year, we will complete our biggest kind of redevelopment thing that we've done here at the church. We have remodeled a huge area, and this year we'll unveil our future eKids space right on the other side of that wall. This has been a huge remodeling project. I don't know if you've ever kind of walked around the church, but on the other side of this wall was this giant room with nothing in it. I affectionately referred to it as the racquetball room because it felt like a giant racquetball room. Huge ceilings, it was real narrow and real long, and we never used that space. For a couple of things, we'd use it here and there, and we last year started a construction project to finish that out so that we can move all of our elementary age kids over there, that they can have their own environment as they grow and they learn about Jesus and they make new friends, so we can have pre-K here and elementary age kids over there. And this has been a massive project, one that I've overseen, and I'm excited just to be done with it, right? Like there's a part of me that's like, I'm just ready to be done with construction. And last Sunday, I told you that we'd be getting our final inspections this week. And in fact, I had a slide that showed our, certificate of occupancy, but we didn't pass. So anyway, there will be more inspections this week, and I really, really hope that next week we will have that certificate. But we're kind of wrapping up some final things, hence why it smells so bad, because the floors are being sealed over there. And this has been a huge project, but I just want to take a moment. I don't think we realize how big of a deal this is. There are a few things that we knew as we got into this space that we needed to improve upon as the church grew, and we knew that we needed more kid space. So this will give us a ton more kid space. I don't know square footage wise, but probably close to double the amount of kid space we have, probably not quite double the amount of space we have, but it's a huge area over there. And this will allow us to have our older kids have a space designed just for them, and our younger kids have a space designed just for them. And I want to take a moment just to kind of recruit, because when we open up this space, that means we'll need more leaders. We'll need more eKids leaders. We'll have 2 check-in areas for kids. We'll need someone that can help parents, show parents where to go, where to take their kids. And we'll need more eKids workers. I mean, come on, look at this. Aren't those kids cute? Right? Like, who can say no to those children? Right? Like, right, we gotta, this is an opportunity where we can serve the church and serve our kids. Because here at Icon, we believe that we need to invest the best in the next generation. That they're not the church of tomorrow, but they're the church of today. So I want to encourage you, if you're not serving anywhere here at Icon, if you come here regularly and you're not on the team, man, I want to encourage you to go to iconchurch.com/serve and sign up. And we need more eKids workers. And our eKids team said, amen, right? Like, we need more of you to join the team, to jump in and to serve our kids. I'm so thrilled about opening up that space. It's going to be such an exciting time. We'll have a grand opening where you'll get to tour it and see all of it. Then a couple weeks later, we'll start moving our kids over there, and it's going to be incredible. I've looked forward to that for a very long time. And then that brings me to the third thing. The other thing that's going to kind of come to fruition here in 2019. And it's crazy to think about, because we started this 3 years ago. And this year in 2019, we will wrap up our For Our City capital campaign. Now, if you've been coming to Icon here just for a little bit and you're unfamiliar with this, you're kind of not sure what this is, this was a capital fundraising campaign that we started 3 years ago. We're meeting in a middle school in San Marcos, and we just felt like, and we knew the time was coming for us to move into a permanent space. We knew that day would be coming, so we rolled this out. We said, let's begin to save now for what our future might be. And then literally within weeks later, we got an opportunity to move into this space. And we were like planning for like something this big, and we're like, okay, here's what we can do as a church. And I almost like imagine like God like sitting there like watching us, going, oh, you poor dummies. Like, this is what you think you're gonna do? Like, because here's what I have for you, right? Like, this is not at all what we had planned or prepared for, right? So then we realized, oh man, we've got to do much more than that. And we brought in consultants, and they said, a church your size can expect to do this much. But we knew what was going to be required of us. We knew we had to do this. So we said, we're going to go for it. We're going to launch this campaign. And so many people signed up to give above and beyond their regular giving. You see, because in the meantime, we've had to like keep our lights on, and you expect us to like heat and cool this place every once in a while, right? And there's these utilities and things that we have to pay. We've had to continue doing church while saving for the future at the same time. And so many of you signed up to be a part of For Our City that allowed us to buy the chairs you're sitting in. That's because people gave to For Our City. Our coffee area, our kids area, our check-in area, all of these things were paid for. These lights were paid for by people that saw this in the future, that had vision to see what might be and gave towards that. So listen, if you're in this room and you made a commitment to give above and beyond, and you've kind of trailed off, this is the end of the year. Like we've got like 10 months left, a little more than 10 months before this campaign ends. So I want to encourage you, jump back in. And if you haven't signed up to be a part of For Our City, there's cards in the seat back in front of you. You can grab one of those For Our City cards, and you can make a commitment over the next 10 months. Here's what I'll do. We've got a wall out there that outlines some of the details of Forest City, but I can't wait to watch this happen. And here's what's been so cool, what God has kind of done, is we kind of planned for this, and God had so much more for us. And I love the way there's this church planter by the name of Paul, and he wrote this letter to this church in Ephesus, and it's as if it could be a letter to us today. And here's what Paul says. He says, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine according to his power that is in work within us. To him be the glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen." It's like Paul is saying to God, who, listen, this God who I'm talking about is able to do way more than you could ever even imagine, more than you could ever think to ask. God can do way more than that. And it feels like as a church, that's been our story, where we expect this and God does way more. When we brought in consultants, they said, man, a church your size could only do this much. And we've already exceeded that. I mean, time after time after time, God just keeps blowing away our expectations. But I want to be honest with you. Can I just be totally transparent with you? As your pastor, can I just be honest for a minute? Here's the deal. What we want to do at the end of 2019 is we want to buy this building. We've been leasing it, and listen to me, it has been a blessing from God that we've been leasing this, because this place has 11 AC units, and over the past 2 years, they've had to replace like 7 of them, right? AC units on a building this big aren't cheap, right? Like right now, tomorrow, they're going to replace 2 more, right? So it's a good thing we've been able to lease it. I just want all of them to break before we buy it, right? So if you see me with a hammer and an AC unit right before, in December, just know God will forgive me, right? So anyway, no, like it's been this awesome blessing to be able to lease it, but we want to move it. We want to buy it, right? We want to make an investment long-term for this property. So at the end of this year, we want to buy it, and to be able to do that and not be like rent poor, right? Not like die by mortgage payments, right? Here's what we need to raise in the next 10 months. We need to raise $1 million, right? That's insane. Like, look around right now. Like, I didn't see any Bentleys or Ferraris rolling in here parking, right? If you did, I will valet your car, right? Like, we're us here. We're just like normal people, right? Like, none of us are like balling, right? And we're just average people, and we need to raise $1 million. And do you know how we're going to do that? I was hoping someone would have an idea, because I have no clue, right? Like, and it's a scary, but yeah, exciting place to be where I don't know how it's going to happen. Like, honestly, we need people to write checks for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you might think, Dan, that's stupid, that's ridiculous. But guess what? It's actually already happened. We need that to happen more. And then we need a bunch of people that can write checks for hundreds and for thousands, right? Like, it's going to be every single one of us coming together. That's how we're going to do this. And here's what I know. There's so much I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what's going to happen. But I do know this, that in 1 year from now, we will be in this place, and we will be doing exactly what we feel like God is calling us to do. We will continue to be Icon Church. Amen? No matter what happens, we will be up front, and we will tell you, here's where we're at, and here's what this looks like, but we will continue to move forward, because that's been our history for years and years. And here's how this works, is God uses people just like us. I love the way Eugene Peterson puts it in his paraphrase. This same verse, he puts it this way: God can do anything, far more than you could ever imagine or guess or request in your wildest dreams. He does it not by pushing us around, but by working within us, his spirit deeply and gently within us. You know what this means? This means, you know how God is going to accomplish these miracles? By using you. That's how. He's going to use you and you and you and you and you. He's going to use all of us coming here to the center saying we can all do a little something. You see, it's going to take all of us. Anything great always does. Every great movement has started from the grassroots. It started from people from the ground up saying we are going to do something about this. So I want you to think about something. I have a question for you. I want to ask you why. And I want you to think, why do you come to Icon Church? And honestly, think about this. Why do you show up every single week? Because you do, right? Because here's what you could be doing right now. You could be sleeping in, right? You could be relaxing. This is like a day off for you. You could be doing anything you want to do. During the football season, you could be staying home watching football, and some of you do, and that's okay. Right? You could be doing anything right now. Why are you here? Why do you show up every week? Why get ready? Why go through the hassle of bringing your kids here? Why? Because here's the thing, every one of you has a reason. All of you have a reason. We got to hear some of those reasons earlier. That if we asked every single one of you, we'd probably hear 500 different reasons. But I think a few different themes would begin to show up. Because it's a place where I can find community. It's a place where I can be loved and accepted. It's a place where I feel challenged to become more like Jesus. It's a place where my marriage gets better because of what I learn and what I apply. My kids can find hope here. My kids can find love and acceptance here. We have all these different reasons why we show up, but all of us do. And can I just be honest for a moment? If you're a regular here, if you're a guest here, you get like a pass on this. But if you're a regular, if church is your home, if Icon's kind of your church home, if you show up here on a regular basis, I need you. We need each other to all get in the game. We need you to not just be a consumer, but to contribute. Here's what this looks like. Let me give you an analogy. Have you ever been, like all of us have gone to like a party or a potluck where it's like everyone bring a dish, right? You guys been to those? Maybe it's a Super Bowl party and it's like, we need some of you to bring chips and dip and some of you to bring drinks and somebody bring ice and like everyone shows up. And because everyone shows up, everyone gets to participate and everyone gets something, right? You know what I'm talking about? And have you ever gone to those parties, maybe it's a Super Bowl party, and you come and that one guy comes and he doesn't bring anything? You know that guy? You know his name's usually Chad, right? And Chad shows up and Chad doesn't bring anything. And what does Chad do? Chad eats everyone else's food that everyone brought, right? And Chad didn't bring anything, but Chad's just like, oh man, this party's awesome, right? And then the party's over, and what does Chad do, right? You see Chad walking out carrying a six-pack he didn't even bring, right? And you're like, and that's what Chad does, right? Like he comes, he doesn't bring anything himself, and he eats all the food, and then he leaves with something that he didn't even bring. And here's the thing, here at Icon, you come for a reason. You get something out of this. You get a chance to come and you get to eat and you get to participate in the party. So lovingly said, as your pastor, can I just tell you something? Don't be like Chad, right? Like don't be that guy, right? Don't be the person that comes and you get to eat all the food and you leave with a little something yourself, but you don't bring anything. We need you. You have talents and gifts and abilities, and we need those. Don't rob these other people in this room of your talents and your abilities. Don't rob the people in this room from being able to participate and do things in our community. There are things on our calendar, there are things and dreams that we have for Icon Church that we want to do that we cannot do without you guys coming to the middle. See, we need you, not Chad, right? If your name is Chad in this room, I am so sorry. I will bludgeon you some more before this Sunday's over. But, right, like you're a different kind of Chad, but that Chad, right? We need you. We need everyone coming to the center. Because here's the deal. You give to what you value, right? Many of you joined a gym and you pay every single month. You signed up in January and you had made a year-long commitment and it's February. You're probably not even going and you're still paying for that gym, right? You pay your cell phone bill because it provides you a service. You pay for your yoga instructor so that you can show up at that because you derive value from that. You see, you come here every single week and it makes an impact on your life because you keep coming back. You have an answer to the question why. Let me just tell you, why not give to something that can change the world? You have an opportunity to give to something that can make a bigger impact than any one of us can have on our own. You see, there's people in this room that carry so much of the weight. There are people in this room that actually give a percentage of their income. There are people out of conviction that we give 10% and more of our income saying, we believe this is a value. And it's not fair to expect a handful of people to carry the rest of us. What we need to do is come to the center and say, we can all do something. I may not be able to do what you can do, but I can do something. So that's why you hear us talk about percentage giving. Because some of you could stroke a check for $500, no problem, every single week. There's others of you that would devastate you. So that's why we talk about percentage giving. Because then it's not about equal gifts, it's about equal sacrifice. It's all of us saying, this is our church. This is my church. Not like Dan, like your church. It's saying, I derive value from this, so I'm going to give towards this. And this is why last year we started something called the online giving team. And you can join the online giving team by just texting the word give to this number. But here's what the team means. It just means I'll give $20 a week to the church. And I'll set it up for reoccurring giving. I derive value from that. I can at least do that much. And can I be honest? There are things we want to do in 2019 that we cannot do unless more of you do this. Unless more of you say, you know what? I'll be a part of the team. I'm coming to the party. I'll quit being like Chad, right? Like I can give towards this. And that's what we need. We need you to get off the sidelines and get into the game. We need you in the game right now. We need you to be a part of this. For us to step into 2019, we need you. People around you, people out there in our community, they need you. And you're showing up here every single week for one reason or another. I want to challenge you. Would you consider joining the online giving team? Would you consider contributing so that we can continue to do this? See, as I thought about this week, as I prayed about this week, as I thought about 2019 and what is the thing that kind of keeps coming back to my mind? What is the thing that kind of God keeps bringing to my heart? And there was this like one phrase that God kept bringing up in my mind over and over. There's one phrase that I kept thinking about over and over and over. It's one phrase I felt like God was saying, don't be Chad. Okay, so it wasn't don't be Chad. It was really, we need you. We need you. We, this church, need each other. We want to be a place where it's like family, where everyone does their part, where everyone gets something out of it. We are better together than we are alone and on our own. So let's be there for each other. Let's support each other. Let's love one another. What would happen if we all came to the middle? Said, I will do my part. I'll serve. I'll volunteer. I'll offer talents and abilities. Man, it may not be my favorite thing, but I'm going to find my favorite thing. I'm going to find my niche. What if all of us did that? What if 500 people? You see, last January, we averaged 515 people. The same month, the year prior, we averaged 450 people. This thing's growing. So what if 515 people said, I'll serve, I'll volunteer, I'll do everything I can to create a great space, a great environment for kids, for people pulling onto the parking lot. I'll make coffee for people. I'll talk to people in the lobby. I'll do my part. And what if 515 people showed up and said, I'll contribute. I'll bring something to the party. Said, I'll be a part of this in my generosity. I will financially give to this because quite honestly, I get something out of this. So I'll give towards it. I'm just telling you, if we all did that, from my perspective, because I get this opportunity that I kind of get to see out in front of us a little bit. And I know where we're at as a church. And quite honestly, I'll just be honest. For a church our size, just being honest, our finances are anemic. They really are. Because here's the thing. There's a lot of churches that'll like beat you up, right? They use the Bible to twist your arm and make you feel guilty for giving and all that stuff. And we don't do that here. In fact, we say, if you need something, take it out of the offering buckets. God will figure this out. So I'm not here to do that. I'm just here to say, we're all a part of this. If we love what God's doing, if we love what happens within us when we're here, then let's just be a part of this. And from my perspective, as I look down that road, if we all did this, 2019 could be incredible. Listen, it's going to be awesome. But I'm praying that God would do immeasurably more than we could ever ask, hope, or even imagine. My prayer is that all of us get in the game together, show up to the party, all contribute, watch what God can do when we all show up. Amen?